Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me again today for story time. Today's story is going to be If You Take Away the Otter, and this is written by Susan Berman Deaver, and it's illustrated by Matthew Truman. If You Take Away the Otter. On the Pacific coast of North America, where the ocean meets the shore, there are forests that have no trees. These forests are not on land. They are ocean forests, forests of kelp. Kelp is a large marine algae or seaweed. And my favorite part about this book is the illustrations, so I hope you guys also enjoy the illustrations. The kelp acts as the trees in these forests. It clings to the rocks at the bottom of the ocean and grows up towards the surface, sometimes reaching more than 100 feet or 30 meters tall. In between and under the towering kelp, smaller seaweeds grow alongside many different kinds of animals. Kelp forests are full of living things. Abalones and clams, sea stars and octopuses, feathery sea worms, and swarms of tiny swimming shrimp live in these forests. Crabs scuttle and snails slink up and down the kelp blades. Spiny sea urchins creep about on tiny tube feet. And swimming all around are fish, shy kelpfish, big-eyed rockfish, and brightly spotted greenlings. Schools of silver herring and striped mackerel lay their eggs in these forests. Sea lions and bald eagles fish these forests for their supper, but the king of these forests, the hungriest hunter, is the sea otter. Otters dive into the deep and fill their bellies with fish and clams, snails and crabs, abalones and octopuses, and the prickly, spiny sea urchins. All living things in these forests are connected. The kelp and other seaweeds make homes to shelter for the animals. They provide food too. Animals like abalones, snails, and sea urchins eat the kelp and seaweed, and some animals, like sea otters, eat other animals. There is just enough seaweed eaters, and enough meat eaters to help the forest thrive. But there was a time when people took the otters away. Indigenous people had lived alongside otters for thousands and thousands of years, but then new people came to the coast. They wanted the sea otter's fur, which is thick and soft in the warmest of warms. They wanted to sell it around the world. They took more and more, hunting the otters until almost all of the otters were gone. People do not always understand at first the changes they cause when they take too much. When they took the otters away, the kelp forests began to change. Without the otters to hunt the urchins, more urchins stayed alive each year. Those urchins made more and more more urchins than had lived in the forest before. An army of urchins, and it takes a lot of food to feed an army. The urchin army crept along the ocean floor, looking for its seaweed food. They ate the small seaweeds. They ate the kelp where they clung to the rocky bottoms. One by one the kelp was cut down. Kelp by kelp, ocean forests fell. Gone were the stands of towering kelp and the shelters and food they gave. Gone were homes for the kelp forest fish and the safe hiding places for their babies and eggs. People do not always know at first why changes are happening beneath the waves, but they could see the otters were becoming harder and harder to find, and they made so many people worry that the otters could disappear forever. So they made new laws to protect the few otters that were left. And slowly, the otters began to come back. And the otters, those hungry hunters, attacked and ate the urchin armies. With fewer urchins creeping about, new kelp could once again grow tall, dancing in the waves. Where the otters have come back, so have kelp forests. When people protected the sea otters, they protected the forests. Those forests and homes, again, for crabs and snails, sea worms and shrimps. They make safe places for the fish and their eggs. There is food for the seaweed eaters, there is food for the hunters, there is just enough of everything to help the kelp forest, and all that depends on them thrive. And that is the end of the book. I hope you guys enjoyed that and you learned a little bit about sea otters, the sea forest, and why taking otters away is a bad thing to do and why it's important to preserve the oceans and preserve the natural forests that are beneath the ocean. Have a great day, guys. Hope you enjoyed this. See you again soon.